Hello, my dear friend. Have you ever stepped out into your garden, taken a slow breath, and just felt the world soften around you? There's something special about a garden, isn't there? It's not just about flowers or vegetables. It's about peace, purpose, and presence. But let's be honest. As we get older, gardening doesn't always feel quite as easy as it once did. The bending, lifting, kneeling, it can take more energy than it used to. And the prices of gardening supplies? Well, those have certainly gone up too. But here's the good news. You don't need to be young, strong, or spend a single extra penny to grow something beautiful. With the right little tricks, gardening can still be joyful, gentle, and deeply rewarding, no matter your age. Today, I'm going to share 15 free and easy gardening tips that I personally love. These are perfect for anyone over 60, or really anyone who wants to keep gardening with more comfort and less effort. So go ahead, pour yourself a warm cup of coffee or tea, get comfortable in your favorite chair, and let's take this time together. Whether you've been gardening your whole life or you're just now finding your way back to it, there's something in here just for you. Let's grow with grace together. 1. Your garden watered while you rest. Watering used to be peaceful, wandering from plant to plant, the rhythm of it, the sun on your back. But now, lifting cans, bending down, it's not so gentle anymore. This simple trick can help. Take a clean plastic bottle, poke tiny holes in the cap, fill it with water, and bury the neck into the soil. The water slowly seeps out over time, keeping the roots moist for days. It's perfect for hot summers, travel weekends, or days when energy is low. No fancy tools, no remembering, just quiet, steady care, even when you're resting. Best of all, it costs nothing and gives new life to something you'd throw away. That's wise gardening, gentle, thoughtful, and kind to your body. 2. A 5-star hotel for the hardest workers. Bees, butterflies, and ladybugs are the quiet heroes of the garden, pollinating, protecting, and helping everything grow. But they need a safe space to rest too. You can give them that with a homemade bug hotel. Use a small box, coffee can, or piece of bamboo. Fill it with twigs, dry leaves, pine cones, and bark. Place it in a quiet, shady corner of your garden, away from heavy foot traffic. Before long, you'll notice these helpful guests moving in. It's simple, free, and powerful. You're not just building shelter, you're building balance. Because when we care for the smallest lives, they help our gardens thrive. It's kindness that grows alongside the flowers. 3. Color that brings memories back to life. That old gnome with the chipped hat? The planter that's faded in the sun? Don't toss them, revive them. A little leftover paint can turn worn decorations into something joyful again. Use a bit of house paint or spray paint to refresh garden pieces. You don't need to be an artist. Just add a new coat of color and watch them come back to life. It's not about perfection. It's about care. You're honoring the years these items have spent beside you. Because in the garden, as in life, beauty doesn't fade. It changes. And when we bring something old back to life, we're really painting in memory, one brushstroke at a time. 4. The birdsong remedy. There's a kind of peace that only a bird can bring. You know the feeling, sitting quietly in your garden, no tools in your hands, just listening. Maybe it's the wind in the leaves, the hum of a bee passing by, and then that sweet sound, a cardinal calling, a finch chirping, or the delicate flutter of a hummingbird's wings. That sound doesn't just fill the air, it fills the heart. And believe it or not, you can invite more of those moments into your life with something as simple as an old cake stand. If you have one tucked in the back of a cabinet, maybe from a birthday years ago or a holiday meal long past, it's time to bring it out again. Set it outside on a table, a tree stump, or a quiet corner of your garden. Sprinkle in a little bird seed, then wait. Nature always shows up when it's welcome. Soon you'll have visitors, red cardinals, tiny wrens, maybe even a bold blue jay. And all you have to do is watch. The best part? You don't have to lift a finger once it's set up. On the days when your hands are stiff or your knees say not today, the birds will still come and their songs will still sing. Because healing doesn't always come from a bottle. Sometimes it comes from wings, from color, from motion, from the quiet company of something wild and free. So if you've been needing a little joy lately, maybe it's time to dust off that old cake stand. Not to hold cake, but to hold peace. 5. Plates with a second purpose. Most of us have a plate or two tucked away in the back of a cupboard, part of a set that lost a few pieces over the years, or maybe a dish that doesn't quite match anything else. But before you think about giving it away or tossing it out, let me tell you something. That old plate might be exactly what your garden needs. If you've ever watered a potted plant and come back to find a puddle on your porch or windowsill, you already know the value of a good plant saucer. But the ones at the store, they crack, they fade, and honestly, they're more expensive than they should be. Here's a better idea. Use a ceramic plate. It holds water beautifully. It won't absorb moisture or fall apart. And if it has a pattern or color you love, it can bring a little charm to your space too. I like to mix them in. A pale blue plate under a green fern. A floral dish under a blooming begonia. Suddenly your plants don't just grow. They tell a story. And here's something else I love. If you don't have any extras at home, you can find beautiful single plates at local thrift stores for less than $1. Each one is unique, full of character, and ready for a second life. This little trick isn't just about saving money. It's about noticing the beauty in things we already have, about slowing down and saying, this is still useful, this still matters. In the garden and in life, sometimes the smallest details bring the greatest joy. 6. Tomatoes without the backache. There was a time when getting down on your knees to plant something felt effortless. We knelt, we dug, we planted, we stood back up without a second thought. But these days, getting back up might come with a little more effort, and maybe even a few aches we didn't ask for. That doesn't mean we have to give up on growing. It just means we need to grow smarter. Here's a tip I love. Turn an old trash can into a raised garden bed. Yes, really, a trash can. Start with a clean, sturdy can. It can be plastic or metal, as long as it's not rusted or cracked. Drill a few holes in the bottom for drainage, then fill it with good soil. Just like that, you've got a raised planter at the perfect height. No bending, no kneeling. Just standing comfortably while you plant your herbs, lettuce, flowers, or even tomatoes. And because it's elevated, it also helps keep pests like rabbits and slugs from nibbling at your hard work. What I love most about this trick is that it takes something forgotten, something most people throw away, and turns it into something useful, even beautiful. There's something deeply satisfying about that, especially now, because gardening should feel good, and when you find ways to let your garden rise to meet you, not the other way around, that's when the joy truly returns. 7. A pot that holds more than just soil. If you've ever found yourself standing in the garden, dirt on your hands, wondering where in the world you left your pruning shears, well, you're not alone. I can't tell you how many times I've wandered around the yard, retracing my steps, checking under benches, even checking my own pockets, only to find my gloves sitting right where I swore I already looked. It's frustrating, and honestly, it takes away from the peaceful rhythm we go to the garden for in the first place. That's why I started using this simple trick. All you need is an empty terracotta flower pot. Place the pot somewhere near where you usually garden. Use it as an open tool holder. I keep my gloves, small shears, seed packets, a rag, and even plant labels in there. Then, I top it with a matching saucer to keep out the rain and curious critters. Now, every time I head outside, I know exactly where everything is. No more bending down into a messy shed or digging through drawers. No more searching. Just reach in and start growing. It's such a small change, but it makes a big difference. Because sometimes, peace comes from simplicity, from knowing your things are where you need them to be, when you need them. That little pot becomes more than just a container. It becomes part of your routine, part of your calm. And in this season of life, we deserve more calm and a little less chaos. 8. The garden hidden in your neighborhood. How many times have you walked past a pile of bricks near the sidewalk or seen a stack of flower pots sitting by the curb with a free sign on top? It's easy to overlook, but the truth is, there's a whole world of gardening supplies out there just waiting to be found. And the best part? You don't have to spend a single dime. With just a little searching, you can gather nearly everything you need, from stepping stones and soil to planters, mulch, and even outdoor furniture. Start by checking local community boards like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, or neighborhood swap groups. Search for words like free garden, leftover soil, or extra pots. You'd be amazed by how often people are giving these things away after a yard cleanup or a landscaping project. And if you don't see anything posted, don't be shy. Try posting a simple message yourself. Looking for unused garden items, happy to pick up. More often than not, someone will respond. Maybe with just a few pots. Maybe with more than you expected. I once picked up enough bricks to build a little winding path through my garden. And every time I walk that path now, I smile. Not just because it was free, but because it came from connection, from someone else's extra becoming my treasure. That's the beautiful thing about gardening. It brings people together. Someone clears their space, you fill yours, and both of you leave with something better. So before you head to the store, take a look around your community. You might just find that your next garden project is already waiting, just a few blocks away. 9. A drink for the tiny gardeners. We often think of birds and squirrels as the main visitors in our gardens, but there's another group, smaller, quieter, and just as important: bees, butterflies, little pollinators that move from flower to flower, helping everything grow. Without them, we wouldn't have blossoms, fruit, or those beautiful bursts of color that make a garden feel alive. But even these tiny workers need a rest. On hot days, they get thirsty, just like we do. And unfortunately, a deep bird bath or a puddle can be dangerous for them. That's where this next idea comes in. A pollinator watering station. It's simple. Take a shallow dish, maybe an old saucer or an unused bird feeder, and fill it with clean water. Then add a few smooth stones or marbles. These give the pollinators a safe place to land so they can drink without falling into the water. Place it in a quiet, shaded spot in your garden, away from pets or busy footpaths. That's it. You'll be surprised how quickly your smallest guests will show up, and how much they'll appreciate it. What I love most about this tip is the reminder it gives us that we're part of a bigger picture. When we care for even the tiniest lives, those lives return the favor, helping our gardens bloom, our vegetables ripen, and our world stay connected. This isn't just about a dish of water. It's about kindness, a quiet kind of care that ripples outward through every flower and every wing. 10. Life from a leaf. There's something almost magical about watching a new plant grow, not from a seed, but from a simple cutting. Just a little sprig, a few inches tall, placed in water, and then one day roots begin to form. It's a quiet reminder that life can begin again, even from something small. This is called propagation, and it's one of the easiest, most cost-effective ways to grow more plants without spending a thing. Start with a healthy plant you already love. Basil, mint, coleus, and geraniums are great choices for beginners. Snip a small stem about 4 to 6 inches long, just below a leaf node, the little bump where a leaf grows out from the stem. Remove the lower leaves and place the cutting in a glass of water, then set it near a sunny window. In a few days, or maybe a week, you'll start to see little white roots reaching down into the water. And once those roots are about 2 inches long, you can plant the cutting in soil. That's it. You've just created a whole new plant from one you already had. I have plants in my garden right now that started from a single cutting a friend gave me over 10 years ago. Every time I pass them, I think of her. It's more than just gardening. It's memory, connection, and a bit of legacy growing quietly beside the flowers. There's beauty in the old saying, waste nothing, reuse everything, and share what grows. Because in the garden, like in life, what we give has a way of coming back, rooted, blooming, and full of grace. 11. Fight weeds without fighting your body. Weeds, no matter how careful we are, seem to show up overnight. One day your flower bed is clear, the next it's full of tiny green intruders, growing faster than everything you actually wanted to plant. For years, I tackled them the hard way, down on my knees, pulling them by hand, only to see them return a few days later. And as the years passed, the work got harder, on my back, my knees, and my patience. Then I discovered something simple, natural, and free: newspaper. Yes, the same newspaper you read with your morning coffee can become one of the best tools for weed control. Here's how it works. Lay a few sheets of newspaper down over the soil in your garden beds, between your plants. Then cover it with mulch or straw to hold it in place and keep it looking tidy. That's all. The newspaper acts as a barrier, blocking sunlight, which prevents weeds from growing. Over time, the paper breaks down naturally, adding organic matter back into the soil. No harsh chemicals, no endless bending or tugging, just a smarter way to keep your garden neat and healthy. It's such a small shift, but it makes a big difference, especially for those of us who want to keep gardening without all the strain. Sometimes the best tools aren't found in a store. They're already in your home waiting for a second life. And when you garden this way, quietly, gently, with care, you're not just fighting weeds, you're making space for beauty to grow. 12. The memory-free watering system. We all forget things from time to time, especially the small everyday tasks. And when life gets busy or our energy runs low, it's easy to miss a day or two of watering the garden. But your plants? They notice. Luckily, there's a simple trick that helps take the pressure off your memory and your body, and all it takes is a second plastic bottle. This method is very much like the one we talked about earlier, but here's why I mention it again: because it works so well, and it brings peace of mind. Just take a clean, empty plastic bottle. Anywhere from 1 to 2 liters is ideal. Use a small pin or nail to poke 4 or 5 tiny holes in the cap. Then fill the bottle with water. Screw the cap back on and turn it upside down. Gently push the neck of the bottle into the soil next to your plant. Over the next few days, the water will slowly seep into the soil, keeping it gently moist without overwatering. No timers, no hoses, no daily chores. And best of all, no worries. Whether you're heading out of town for a few days or just need a little break from the routine, this little bottle has you covered. It's a quiet kind of helper, the kind that works while you rest, the kind that remembers, even when you don't. Because growing older doesn't mean giving up the things we love. It just means finding smarter, softer ways to keep going. And this little bottle, it's one of them. 13. A wall of life without the bending. Space. It's something we all wish we had more of, whether in the garden, the house, or just in daily life. And if you're working with a small yard, a patio, or limited mobility, gardening can sometimes feel out of reach. But here's a beautiful little trick. Turn a hanging shoe organizer into a vertical garden. Yes, the kind that hangs on the back of a door, with those little fabric pockets. Each pocket is the perfect size for planting herbs, lettuce, strawberries, or even flowers. Here's how to do it. Find an old organizer you're not using, or pick one up at a thrift store for just a few dollars. Hang it on a sunny fence, railing, or sturdy wall. Fill each pocket with potting soil. Plant your seeds or seedlings, and water as needed. Because the pockets are small and upright, the water drains easily, and best of all, you never have to bend down. Everything grows right at eye level. Easy to see, easy to care for, and easy to harvest. It's one of the smartest ways to garden when space or energy is limited. And it turns something simple, maybe even forgotten in the back of a closet, into a living wall full of color, fragrance, and life. Gardening doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be hard. It just has to bring you joy. And with this little idea, it can do just that, one pocket at a time. 14. Breakfast for you, calcium for the garden. Most mornings I start my day the same way, eggs and toast, hot coffee, maybe a few quiet minutes looking out at the yard. For the longest time, I'd crack the eggs, cook my breakfast, and toss the shells straight into the trash without a second thought. Not anymore. Now I know that those little eggshells are a hidden treasure in the garden. They're packed with calcium and other minerals your plants love, and they can be used in two powerful, completely free ways. First, they make excellent seed starters. After you've used the eggs, rinse out the shell halves and let them dry. Gently poke a small hole in the bottom for drainage, then fill each half with potting soil. Drop in a seed or two, maybe basil, maybe marigolds, and place the shells in an egg carton on your windowsill. When the seedlings are ready, you can plant the whole shell directly into the soil. It will break down naturally, feeding the plant as it grows. Second, crushed eggshells are a wonderful way to keep slugs and snails away. Just take the dry shells, crush them up into small pieces, and sprinkle them around the base of your plants. The sharp edges deter soft-bodied pests without any chemicals at all. So something once headed for the trash becomes a gentle defense, a tiny pot, a boost of nutrients. It's a small act of reuse, but it carries a big reminder that nature gives us more than we realize if we take the time to notice. And sometimes, the simplest things we overlook can become the most helpful tools in helping something grow. 15. Liquid gold from your kitchen sink. There's a habit many of us have, one we don't even think about. You boil some vegetables or pasta, maybe hard-boil a few eggs, and when you're done, you pour that water right down the drain. But what if I told you that water is full of something your garden craves? When you cook vegetables, minerals like calcium, potassium, and magnesium naturally seep into the water. And those same nutrients are exactly what your plants need to grow strong. So next time, let that water cool completely, and then use it to water your garden beds or houseplants. Just one important note. This only works with unsalted water. If you've added salt, skip it. Salt can harm the soil and dry out your plants. But if it's plain water from boiled potatoes, green beans, or eggs, it becomes a free, nutrient-rich fertilizer. It's such a simple shift. Just a pause before the drain, a second use before it's gone. But that's the heart of good gardening, isn't it? Paying attention, letting nothing go to waste, finding new life in what we used to overlook. Over time, you'll notice richer soil, greener leaves, and stronger plants, all from something that used to disappear without a second thought. It's a gentle kind of wisdom, one that says, use what you have, give what you can, and watch what grows from it. And there you have it, my friend. 15 simple, thoughtful, and completely free gardening ideas to help you keep growing with ease, comfort, and joy. We've turned old bottles into quiet helpers, plates into purpose, eggshells into new life, and tiny corners of the garden into peaceful places for birds, bees, and memories to settle in. Because at this stage in life, it's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters. It's about finding joy in the little things. And it's about honoring your body, your time, and the wisdom you've earned. So if one of these tips spoke to you today, try it out. Just one. Or share this video with someone who still loves the smell of tomato leaves and the feel of sun-warmed soil. And remember this, you don't need perfect knees or fancy tools to grow something beautiful. You just need care, a little creativity, and the willingness to keep showing up for the life that still wants to bloom. Thank you for spending this time with me. I hope your garden and your heart feel just a little bit fuller. Until next time, take good care of yourself and keep growing